Hello, this is David Coreen, Senior Matchmaker with Davron, and joining me today is Eric Maddox. Eric, hello.
Hi, how are you today, David?
I am good, and the purpose of today's podcast is we are going to be doing a Boolean search session on Monster. And this time around, Eric, we got a company in California that is looking for a program manager. Is that right?
That's exactly right. They're in the defense department, and they kind of make really neat things. They use single board computers, and they use them to navigate and help control different types of, whether it be rockets or vehicles and things like that for defense, military defense systems. So pretty cool.
Go USA. I love that. We got the best toys because we got the money. I love it, Eric. It's great. So we've kind of picked apart this job description and picked out some things that we thought were important. But in a nutshell, this is a gathering. We're obviously not going to be using for Boolean purposes, of course, the salary range, but it does give us some idea of what they're looking to pay. Fairly decent range. Although in California, Eric, I hear that 135 is like minimum wage, right?
Oh, yeah. You can barely buy a studio apartment for that.
They ought to come out to Land O'Lakes, Florida. That's where we're located. And if you want any help in identifying candidates, putting together a Boolean for any specific positions of your own, you don't have to come down over here. You can simply call us, visit us on our website. The entire job description, and of course, any good headhunter, you know us being one of our top producers and at it for years and years here, Eric. It's critical to read the entire job description word for word. Get into the head of the job writer, the manager who is hiring for this position. Why does anybody hire anybody? Well, it relieve their load. What say you here, Mr. Maddox?
Absolutely agree. You can't really go out and find your keywords, so to speak, that we use for our Booleans and dissect the position properly and get your matchmaking skills together without the proper things to use it. And that's where our tools come in. Identify these keywords, identify the key things we need, programs, what are they doing for them? And that's what we're going to do now. We're going to show people how to go through this job description, pick out those key things, and identify the proper people.
Completely agreed. And Boolean searches, they're pretty standard. However, the purposes for this specific podcast is going to be searching on monster.com. I think that's a fishing hole that a lot of recruiters, headhunters out there are using. And I also think that they use the most standard Boolean operators out there. So I think it'll be easy. And on top of that, Eric, we have a chance here to expose a little glitch that we've actually complained to Monster about a couple of times. So we'll be showing that to the rest of the YouTube audience. How exciting. Stay tuned for that. All right. So look, we've obviously dissected and perused, gone through this entire position left and right. So we've picked out a couple of key important things that we are going to be focused on for this position. Now, first and foremost, low-hanging fruit, Eric, wouldn't you say? The reason that we're listing this as being in this exact zip code, if we can find somebody that's within 20 miles, 30 miles, even 50 miles, well, that's low-hanging fruit, isn't it? It makes it that much easier to get somebody to take a look at a position, right?
Absolutely. If you have somebody, whether they're working or whether they're not working, the opportunity for them to be in a commutable distance to their job is going to be key. So if I'm asking someone to leave their current position and ask them to leave it for a position they got to relocate to, well, it better be pretty special. It's got to be the right opportunity meets right time in their life, all the above. So yeah, low-hanging fruit, best opportunity for a long-term fit and to make that match right away.
Well said. So we're initially going to begin our search within a zip code radius, maybe around like 40 or 50 miles of 91355. The position is for a program manager. Senior program manager is what this company calls it. It's in the defense industry. They're ideally looking for somebody that has a bachelor's or a master's degree in electrical or computer engineering. An MBA is desired. Also experience in working with defense and aerospace, a customer community. and in serving as a principal point of contact to key military and commercial customers. Some of those things we may be able to pick apart as Boolean search terms. Defense comes to mind. Aerospace certainly comes to mind. Other things we're using as basically, well, keeping in the back of our mind as we start looking at some of these resumes and try to determine whether these guys are a fit or not, right, Eric?
That's correct.
It's all a totality. It's all I'm taking as an aggregate forest view, but then looking at each individual tree. We have a very long job description, and that's good. It's important. It's important to be able to get into the head, like I said, of the job writing. However, picking out things that we should be able to use in our Booleans, well, there's not as many of them, and I think that's a good thing. So one key sentence that we picked out, in addition to the previous ones, technical and program leadership, experience, and familiarity, and this is the key here, Eric, single board computer industry and integrated systems development are required. Single board computer. Now, anybody who is a headhunter, engineering headhunter, defense headhunter, I'm assuming you're not an engineer, but Google is your best friend. So what we did was we looked up single board computers. Boy, we got ourselves a little bit of an education, didn't we, over here, Aaron?
We sure did. I was actually surprised. Never had I looked them up and understood what they did before, and here we go.
There it is. So we look up single board computer, and you've got lots of them for sale. I've certainly heard of Raspberry Pi, and here we've got cheap alternatives to Raspberry Pi. Wikipedia is one of our best friends, isn't it, Eric?
It is, and in this case, it's going to show you kind of an amazing thing and why these are so special, considering you're talking about a 3.5-inch little computer that they're putting on top of a circuit board that fits inside of another machine. Pretty impressive.
It really is. And what's interesting about this is that in addition to getting an incredible education for what exactly a single board computer is, or pretty much anything in this world, we can also get lots of ways to use the single board computer as a Boolean search term. Here we have it hyphenated. I imagine single board computer could work, and so on. By the way, in previous search attempts, the hyphen does not make any difference, even when quoted within Monster. We can show that to you if needed as well. So lots of information over here, how it came about, but basically, and I'm sure you're absolutely right, Eric, it's a complete computer. It's built on a single circuit board, and basically they can plug that in and make the rest of it work. The Terminator.
That's it.
Comes to mind,
Yes.
Eric. The
Yes.
Terminator has a single board computer, possibly built by our current client, isn't it?
It absolutely could be. And I don't want to give away our client, but anybody who's seen the movie, I think you know who they are.
Okay, good. Well, in that case, please do not contact our client. We got this search here. But let's go ahead and go back and try to conduct a Boolean from all of that. The entire job description will kind of skip through all of that. So we got a couple of different things. Single board computer. Seems to me like something that this company does. Seems to me like it's something that they say that we need somebody that has to have this. So single board computer seems to be a pretty good thing to try to give a shot at here. I'm already logged into Monster, and we know this, that if you want single board computer to come back and read like single board computer in that exact same order, putting those quotes, I know it's on a very basic Boolean level, will return exactly that. Isn't that right, Aaron?
That's exactly right. And the quotes are going to be your best friends on separating some of these thoughts to get multiple words that come back in the exact order, like you said, you're looking for. And it's a crucial part of what we're going to do to find and narrow down our searches to get the right people, and not just some of the phrase, but the entire phrase.
So I'll default to Monster. It's 50 miles away. This is a baseline Boolean for us, Eric. I just want to see how many people even have single board computer, just like that, word for word, in their resume within 50 miles of 91355. Now, I know they're not all program managers, and maybe they're not all electrical engineers and the like, but I'm just getting a baseline over here. And what I see here is 33.
It's not bad.
It's not a bad sample. And one more thing, if you are a subscriber to Monsters, obviously, the headhunters over here, Davron, are, the default that Monster has you is by relevance. That is not my default. My default is by when the resume was updated. And you'll see that by the date in reverse chronological order over here. And I really just want to see who has single board computer, because truthfully, by reorganizing this, whoever has single board computer in there 5 or 6 times is going to be the guy that comes up first. I'm not interested in the guy that wrote single board computer the most amount of times in their resume. I'm really interested in the guy who our client is actually looking for. But this is a baseline Boolean. The purpose of this session is not so much to identify the candidate, but to identify and try to expand on our results, refine our results, and show you how these results work. So we know that we got 33 within a 50-mile radius, I believe it was, Eric?
That is correct. And, question for you, David. I know in this case you'd like to change your default to chronological order, most recent updated, should I say. I know it seems obvious, but the reason for that being, you want to find the people who most recently updated their resume. Are they the ones who are looking that could be the ones that are actively looking for jobs? Is that kind of the reason? Or?
Well, it is. And, you'll notice one thing over here, Eric, is that my default is set to give me the people that posted the most recently.
Mm-hmm.
So if I've got a Boolean, I'm really not interested in having Monster, or really anybody for that matter, give me a relevancy. I'm really interested in seeing who it is that has the words or the Boolean search operator that I have in there. You'll also notice, and I'll go back here to modify my search. Actually, I guess I could have done it right from over there, but you can look for people who have posted from today, and I believe the default is somebody who's posted between today and in the past month. But my default, and I always bring it back to all resumes. Why? Because I really want to see everybody who has ever posted and has left their resume up on Monster. It gives me the largest sample rate of everybody that has those Boolean search keywords in there. And then, most importantly, this is just human nature here, Eric. I don't know who number, in this case, 33 is, or how far that resume goes back. By the way, I also have it expanded to show me the most amount of results per page. So this person over here, I'm not going to pronounce that name. I'll probably mess that up. How do you pronounce that name here, Eric? You're an expert.
Chikon Long.
I'm going to leave that up to you. Excellent, Eric. Thank you for that. Well, he posted over 2 years ago. He posted, over 2 years ago here, about 2 years and 9 months ago.
Wow. Yeah.
Some recruiters will never bother to contact Mr. How do you say that name again?
Chikon Long.
Excellent. Thank you, Eric. But I know that you would.
Yes.
And catch up with him. Find out what's going on with him. And maybe he is that person. So I think that that's just baseline good recruiting. Let's pretend you start with a guy to have posted most recently, if this is the person or that person, or Johnny Lamb over here. Maybe he's on the lamb, Johnny. Don't tell anybody, all right? But we found him. And you can stop there. But you decide when you want to stop. Over here, these people posted in the past few months. Chin Quan Lam, I'm sorry, I think I messed that up, posted over 2 years ago. But if they're the right fit, I think it's important to contact them. That's just basic recruiting. So we got 33 people over here from this baseline Boolean, but I want to give a plural to computer, because we saw in the Wikipedia example, Eric, that it was not just single board computers, it could be single board computers, right?
Yes, correct.
One of the ways that we can see just from our sample here is, how does it change? Does it improve? Are we going to get more results? My suspicion is yes. We got 33 within a 50-mile radius just using single board computers. So here we got single board computers, plural. I suspect we'll get larger results.
So you would think, if somebody's writing something down, had great experience with single board computers, it makes sense to have a plural scenario. So yeah, you would think we would get more. So I'm curious.
Find out. 33 before. I can change my search right within this existing search screen.
Yeah.
Survey says 54.
54. 21 more.
It's a significant number more. And I think it behooves any recruiter who is searching here to try both versions of it. I mean, we've practically doubled our results.
Now, are we able to open up a resume real quick and see the highlighted portions of that?
Well, we can. And I'll just jot down. It was 54, right?
It was 54. Yes, sir.
Okay,
That's correct.
Good. So yes, of course, and we can. And I think it may give us also an opportunity to show the glitch that we over here at Davron in our data mining efforts have discovered. So yes, you can see it's highlighted. Eduardo Gonzalez has experience with single board computers. And here we have single board computers. He's obviously using this as a...
Hey, would you scroll back up for me if you don't mind?
Board.
Sorry, I'll improv a little more about single board computers before. Right here. I also see abbreviated SBC. Interesting. Hadn't seen that as an abbreviation before on single board computers. I don't know if it would be something I would use, but something I happen to see there that I would throw in the back of my mind. Just a thought.
Well, I think it's a great thought because over here we have it as SBC as well. Eric.
Yes, sir, we did. I missed that. Yeah.
Well,
excellent.
I imagine it may open up more acronyms that may not be a fit, and we may get some false positives. But
true,
being a thorough recruiter and not leaving any stone unturned, yes, absolutely. And you have to get into the head of the job writer as well as the job seeker. And getting into the head of the job seeker, like Eduardo, using SBC would have worked for him as well. So I'm going to open up another resume over here, and apparently this person did not put their resume in correctly. I could download the PDF version. That's not going to show the highlighted results. So I'm just going to be lazy and skip over it. Really, the purpose of this search session is not to identify the right person. It is more to show how Boolean results are reflected. So here you have a single board computer, a singular version rather of the word computer, but the person appears and the link and so on. So if we continue to here's Johnny on Lamb. Let's see what's going on with Johnny. He's in the witness protection program.
He's under wraps. He may use SBC.
Okay, well, let's see where he uses SBC. I'm going to assume that it is somewhere in here. Am I missing it somewhere?
Nope. Looks like another one of those scenarios where sometimes it doesn't always pick up every single one we want. It is interesting enough because I'm betting single board computer is right there. See the additional hyphen? It picked it up, but there's an additional hyphen in it.
And because even though because the hyphen is in there, I'm going to make the wild guess that it's throwing some kind of a glitch within the monster system that's preventing it from being highlighted. Now, Eric, as you know, I hit Control F, by the way, and that's what brought up this little screen over here.
Yes.
And I mean, obviously, anybody knows if you want to look for any specific word within a web page, control or a document, Control F for find is the F, and then pretty much anything. So in this case, I know that it begins with single and single board computers. Now, the one denotes there's only one instance of the word single appearing. So I know if there were 2, 3, it would take us to the next example. This is only one singular case of single board computer, not showing up, I imagine, because of the hyphen involved.
Small glitch, but a good catch on their part nonetheless. It still picked up something for us that had it.
All right, mystery man. There's a lot of people on the lam over here in California for whatever reason. So we'll look at Mr. Confidentiality over here. Shh, don't tell anybody that this is our confidential person. A small lesson to any candidates that are obviously on here. Be careful how you post this. And here we have the plural version of single board computers being highlighted. I want to go back to the monster glitch. Now, one of the more astute Boolean experts watching our podcast today, Eric, will note that you can shorten and abbreviate single board computer or single board computers by using what some people refer to as the wildcard and put it over here. So if I am to execute this particular Boolean right here, single board computer, and I put in asterisk wildcard at the end of the computer. It's certainly not going to return, and you know this, Eric, something that says single board computer with an asterisk. It's going to return back exactly these results. It's going to bring back everybody has single board computer or single board computers by putting this asterisk here. I'm hoping that by what I just said and emulating it, it'll come back with exactly those results. So I'm hoping that by putting in single board computer with an asterisk, instead of getting 33, or instead of getting somebody that has a single board computer asterisk, I'm really going to get 54 results. I'm going to get the exact same results.
Gotcha.
So I'm going to go back in here, Eric. You asked a good question regarding that. I'll get rid of this here and paste in single board computer with asterisk in quotes. Previously we had 54. I'm going to hit search again. We have the exact same results.
Exact same order, exact same stuff. Okay.
Exact same everything. Now we have clicked on Eduardo Gonzalez.
Mr. Gonzalez, single board computers SBC.
Well, that's right. But if we look through here, unfortunately,
Where'd our
the
highlights
single board
go?
computers are gone.
Highlights no longer.
The highlights are no longer there, so we know how to find it. If I hit just Control F and if I hit Enter, in this case, Eduardo has single in there, we know twice. Here's one of them that comes already up, experience with single board computers. We know we saw it again further down, and there's the SBC part that you're referring to. That's the second part of the two in the single board computers, but it's not highlighted. And previously it was, wasn't it?
It absolutely was.
We look at Johnny on Lamb, and now was he the one that had the hyphenated single board computer?
I believe he did. Yep. Yep.
You saw that up already? Did I mess that up? Oh, there it is. Okay, well, it's not going to be highlighted no matter what. But we also know that he's got that in there as well. And then further, I'm going to look for that confidential guy that's not all that confidential. Now, he was highlighted because he had single board computer, singularly, single board computer, right? But if I look through here really briefly, it was highlighted.
Oh, yeah.
It's not right now, okay? And again, the simple search, Control F, he's only got single board computer in it. Oh, there's that Raspberry Pi. We saw
that earlier. Yes.
Well, we did. We saw some alternatives to it, so we know we're kind of on the right track over here, but the purpose of this particular part of the exercise lesson is to show that there is a glitch within Monster. We've made them aware of it, where you will get the correct results back. You will get the correct results back, as evidenced by the results that we got over here by using the operator. However, none of them will be highlighted. Single board computers returns the exact same thing. I'm going to stick with the highlighting. So we got 54.
I agree. It's kind of a shortcut, but it also creates a little bit more work in the long run, of course, stopping it from being a shortcut because then you're searching the page for what you need as opposed to being brought to it by the highlights, which is one of the strong things as a recruiter we're trying to do to save time.
Exactly. And low-hanging fruit, you really have to kind of discern the difference. Am I better off going with a candidate that may not be a perfect fit, but has the skills, may need some ramp-up time, but literally lives just a few miles down the road and maybe looking for much less than the 135 they're willing to pay? Or are you better going 100 miles, 200 miles, and looking for the most perfect ideal candidate, but it's not the most low-hanging fruit? And it really depends. Depends on your client, depends on the market, and sometimes your client may say they're not interested in relocating somebody, but you find them the most perfect person, and things have a way of changing, don't they? That's human nature.
That's absolutely true. Sometimes hard to find those guys. So.
Well, we know this. In the defense industry, it's somewhat standardized. And we know that program managers they're kind of called program managers, or at least they have program manager somewhere within their title. So I wrote in here, possibly in their most recent title, as an additional Boolean operator. And I want you to kind of take a look at the results and see what we get.
Yeah, sounds good. No, you said put in the most recent title, so I look forward to seeing you show me how you're kind of adjusting that too.
Sure. So I'll go back to our initial baseline Boolean of using single board computers, single board computers. It's going to be the exact same results here, hopefully 54. Nobody took their resume off, same order. But over here, you'll notice that you have some additional options. And hopefully if I hit modify search, it'll go back to the initial search screen. We'll have the same thing. You've got lots of options here. This here is what I would say we use about 90% of our searches on, Eric. But if you're really looking to drill down, their most recent title.
Ah.
And what we find is that many candidates don't even bother to fill out a title, and unfortunately, that's going to eliminate people. I'm going to go back briefly to our search results over here, and Eduardo filled out that he's an electronics technician.
It didn't pick up for some. Oh, I'm sorry, my bad. He didn't hit search. My apologies.
Okay, well, I didn't pick that. I didn't put that in there. I just went back to the original search. I haven't done that yet. But here, Eduardo filled out his most recent title. If Ariel is a program manager, unfortunately, Ariel is not going to be there because he doesn't even have a title. Neither does this person. I know that you're an expert in pronouncing that name, Eric, but I'll leave that alone. This person has a title, this person does not, this person does not, and so on, this person does. You're only as good as the information that is filled out by the candidates. So I leave that title blank. I'm not going to come up. That's a good thing for people that are posting their resumes online. So make sure you fill out everything possible in there so that you are found. But in this case, it's low-hanging fruit. I just want to see who's got the most recent title of program manager. I'll put that in quotes. We already know what that does. And I want to see some guy that's got some of that single board computer stuff that blows people up or helps keep America safe. Whichever you prefer. I think a little bit of both there.
I think it's absolutely a little both. And we have one guy.
One guy, lead electrical design engineer.
Wow.
We see over here that he also has the title of program manager, 53 miles away. That's good enough. Monster did not eliminate him. And we have the result of 1.
Interesting.
I'm hoping that in the screen sharing session, this gets picked up as well. This extra screen, I'm thinking it does. Here's the single board computer, electrical engineer. Where in the world is program manager? Program manager is right up here, Eric.
Yeah, there you go. And
the purpose of this is not to determine whether or not this person is or is not a fit for our company, but the purpose of this is to kind of get a little bit closer to slice and dicing specific openings and getting a little bit closer. Now, I do want to address one thing that you asked me, and that is we're putting in the most recent title. We only got 1 within 50 miles. So I'm going to modify the search here. And kind of being scientist, if I say 1 here, so in this case, result is 1 within 50 miles. I'm having a good day typing, Eric. It's old age,
Looks good.
I think
Looks
is what
good.
that is. Thank you, Mikhails. What happens if I use program manager in the main search bar? So let's say that I'm over here, my search is this, and I'm going to group this thought together by using parentheses. Now we're getting a little bit more, I don't want to say complex, but we're stringing some thoughts together, and program manager.
so you made a good point there. So you added the parentheses there to the end of this, or to this, and then put the word "and." So we kept one thought together. So we have thoughts inside of the thought with the quotes. Then we put the parentheses on the outside. We've got an "or" in the middle, so it knows we want either one inside of it and what you put next. Okay.
Well, that's exactly right, Eric. And the thought, you're obviously an expert Boolean searcher, data miner. We know it's going to return resumes that have to have program manager, okay? And what you were referring to over here. And the parentheses thought, it groups single board computer or single board computers. And the "or" separates them. So the resume has to have either computer singular, single board computers plural, one of these 2 versions, and it must have program manager. And that's what that does. And you can start adding parentheses and more parentheses and more parentheses. And I think you called it a thought. I grouped that into one thought, and that's exactly what that is. And that's exactly how I have to look at it. We're thinking here single board computers, and I imagine, Eric, one of the things that you pointed out was SBC, because we know within the industry, SBC, single board computers, is an acronym. So if I'm going to continue on that one grouping of thought of single board computers, I will use single board computer or single board computers or SBC.
Good point. Yes.
And it'll capture more. I'm going to leave it alone right now because I think it'll return some false positives for us. But you see over here, for the people that did not fill out their most recent title, I'm going to try to capture those people. I'm going to get rid of Program Manager over here. And I'm going to capture them over here. So before we had one person. And now within 50 miles, we have 5. We've got this person here, David Heimel, and that's, I believe, the person that we saw come up before, right, Eric?
It is, absolutely.
Ariel does not have the most recent title. 2 out of 5 people that have single board computers and program management in their title agree that they should be called Ariel Koropitzer in here. And neither Ariel has a title.
Neither one.
Ashok Jain doesn't have a title. And Tony Chang over here calls himself an EMS manager. But as you notice here, he's a business development manager. He's a project manager. Those are the most recent titles that he has listed. So that means that he has to have the word program manager somewhere in there. We see single board computer, singular version of that. Where is program manager, Mr. Maddox? What am I doing wrong?
Question. I'd say nothing at all, my friend. So we have to find out where it's at.
My trusty control F function, and well,
let's see what happened.
I'm not. It's basically saying there's nothing there.
Now that doesn't seem right. Let's go to another resume just in case.
Oh, let's indeed do that. But that is kind of curious.
That's concerning.
That person is not. It is concerning.
Let's see, project/program manager.
I don't know if possibly Monster is using some kind of a semantic version of program, like project manager in this case. But here we do have program manager, and I know that in the past that we saw single board computers on this candidate as well.
Yeah. Which is typically how this is going to play out. That's what we're typically going to see on these resumes.
Eric, do you think Ariel Koropitzer, that's 67.6 miles away, is different than this Ariel Koropitzer, who's 67?
I definitely think so. I think there's no
correlation.
correlation.
You think it's worth clicking on one and then the other? Just make sure.
Okay, I think we'll let it go.
So over here, I'm going to click on a shock. Hopefully, we got program manager over here. Notice he does have the most recent title, program manager, but it's not exactly where Monster wants it, Eric.
Correct.
And
yes.
That's why it doesn't come up.
Part of where he filled it out in the beginning was an option to put his title in, as opposed to just where he has it on his resume. And I believe that would be the biggest difference.
We see where program manager is. We see where single board computer is. Again, the purpose of this specific exercise is not to identify the right person, but it is to get us a little bit closer and to continue to modify our search. Now, here you can come to kind of a crossroads because we're starting to come, we got 5 candidates. We kind of already looked at all of them. But we also have other thoughts here. We have defense. I think that we also had aerospace. One of the things that, being in the industry, we have the International Traffic in Arms Regulations, ITAR. Could be case specific. Boy, you find somebody that's got that in their resume that's a program manager with single board computer experience. Score.
It's a home run, I'd say.
Could eliminate a bunch of people. Somebody could be perfect, just didn't happen to get that specific one in there. Also, they're looking for somebody who's got a bachelor's of science in electrical engineering, ideally, or computer engineering. How do we extrapolate all of that? So, let's start adding on 2 of the Booleans and see what we got. One thing over here is we have defense. So a good recruiter, we can start putting some of this together and see how it all shapes up. So we know that here we had 5 within 50 miles. Eric, I start adding more and more to it. I'm certainly not going to get more results. Okay,
Like
if I say and, now I'm really throwing out that Hail Mary out there. And I'm looking for the perfect person. So I'm thinking I'm going to go out a little bit further than 50 miles.
I'd say that's a good recruiting practice there for sure.
Of course, if you're dealing with one of the Davron headhunters, we've got a lot of different fishing holes to go to. We have our own internal search database. We call it Elijah Search after our programmer, Elijah. LinkedIn, of course, Indeed. Who knows what other sites that we go to in order to identify the right person. But the purpose for this specific Boolean search section is to stick to this specific fishing hole called monster.com. I don't know if I'm going to go through every single iteration either. I think you and I could just sit here and BS forever. So I'm going to try to go for some low-hanging fruit and teach some of these young whippersnappers trying to learn something about Booleans on how to string it all together, Eric.
Agreed.
So
I'd say if we're going out, it's got to be perfect, right?
It's got to be perfect. Let's take a look at it. We'll expand our search. So here, should I put defense and aerospace, or do you think I should go with the or here? Eric, what's your gut say?
My gut feel would probably be an or, because I think aerospace is going to be, I know they're doing defense, and they put defense and aerospace when they're talking about their work, which means they could actually be working actually with, NASA and even private vendors and technology for their things. So I would say we don't want to
one or the other. Fair enough.
Don't want to eliminate.
So let's review the next Boolean that we're going to try. We know we got 5 within 50 miles over here. We got the exact same Boolean we've got in the first thought, as you had said, single board computer, single board computers, and it's got to have program manager, and as Eric said, defense or aerospace for the reasons given, and the thought is within these parentheses, defense or aerospace. Now, I'm old school. I know you are as well. You see me capitalizing the Boolean operators. By operators, it's the or, the and, the other or, and so on. Back in the day, you had to capitalize them. That's the way that the search results knew that you were looking for the operator. I think they're a lot more sophisticated. I do not think, Eric, that Monster requires you to capitalize these, but old habits are just hard to break, aren't they?
They are, and it's a good one to have because, as you iterated earlier, that leaded to that we have different systems we go into and different types of programs and different fishing holes that we're looking at, and some of those do require a little bit more specifics on those operators to be capitalized. So it's still a good habit to get into.
It's good practice to have. You never know.
Why not?
And believe it or not, we do obviously use you mentioned that, some that require that you capitalize the actual operators. Always a good idea to review over your Boolean one last time. You know that if you get funky results, check your Boolean first before starting to wonder or question whether there's anybody out there in the world or not. So in the first thought, we begin with parentheses, in quotes, single computer or single computers. We end that. We have the and program manager also in quotes. Doesn't look like I'm missing any spaces, any funky extra characters that I fat fingered, Eric. Again, all resumes. Before we were within 50 miles, I'm going to go on just a little bit further. We've got lots of ways to slice it, including if I click on all areas, we're going to get all of the United States. I don't know if we're quite ready for that. Let's see what we got within 100 miles. And we got 4. Ariel is strong.
Ariel's not
going anywhere. I think we got Alan Horn that just comes up over here. Let's take a look and see why Alan came up. We got single board computer. We know he's a program manager. Here he's doing defense government agencies. Boy, that looks pretty good.
Remember, we're talking about aerospace being NASA or, defense. So
defense could be either one.
Yep.
You have that. So kind of being a scientist, put in 4 within 100 miles. And you can kind of see where it starts expanding further from there. What would a good recruiter do? You only got 4 of them over here. So if you're really bent on this specific Boolean, if you like the ones that are coming back here, you can simply modify the search and just keep going out further until you hit a giant major vein of defense contractors, or you can just hit the entire nation, and you get pretty much everybody that they have. So here I've got the furthest zip radius of 200 miles, Eric, and we went from 4, I believe, within 100. Now we've got 7. If I continue modifying the search over here, and let's pretend instead of this, I'm going to go to
all U.S.
all of the United States. Let's see how many single board computer program managers that are in defense or aerospace.
34.
34.
That tells you right there that these gentlemen are, females, whoever they may be, male or female, but these particular people are absolutely important. They're tough to find.
They're not a dime a dozen, are they?
No, they're
There's
not.
not that many of them.
No, they're not. So, going to be a good one. These are people that if you come up and, we have this specific Boolean, kind of a home run for us, so to speak. We have so much in there we built onto it, and we could continue to expand it if needed to narrow this down. But I'd say it's a good start. I'd be definitely going through these Booleans as a recruiter, and I mean not Booleans, but these resumes, and I would be finding out if I have one of these guys as my guy. It looks like a really good opportunity to find a couple of really good people in here.
Going back to some of our initial thoughts, Eric, you have people that do not fill out their most recent title right over here. Some people don't properly fill out their most recent job description, maybe their most recent employer. So it's low-hanging fruit, but it eliminates people as well. Putting it in the main search bar will certainly capture everybody, but you will have to go through all the resumes that are listed. I think that 34 results are very manageable results. And at this point, I'm not sure that I would continue on with the Boolean. Obviously, we would look through all of these results and see who we have. So while we do have a little bit of time, I'm going to eliminate ITAR over here because I think that Bachelor's of Science in Electrical Engineering is something a little bit more common here. And for the people that do have time, if you've been listening this long, let me give you some thoughts on how to capture somebody that has a Bachelor's of Science, okay, in electrical engineering, but eliminate the electrical engineers, if you will, okay?
Yeah.
So we know this, that people will sometimes write BSEE, and we also know that sometimes they will put BS, and then we'll see EE just like that, right? Bachelor's of Science in Electrical Engineering. And sometimes we'll see MSEE because I think a client said that they would be open to somebody that has experience. Well, a bachelor's of science and a master's of science, say even better. So you might see MSEE, or much like the BSEE is joined by period, rather separated by periods in the end.
And I think it's important to realize that also that just because you have a master's in electrical engineering for those searching doesn't mean that you're a bachelor's in electrical engineering.
Well, I think that's exactly right. And how wonderful of you to make that point, Eric, because you might have somebody that has industrial computer engineering and then gets a master's in electrical, or the other way around maybe. Now you've got somebody, we might have somebody that graduated with a bachelor's in computer engineering, a master's in electrical, and really maybe an ideal fit for our client. We know that that's the way that BSEE's electrical engineering majors that have the BS or MS capture. However, we also know that not all electrical engineers have a degree in electrical engineering. So we don't want to write the word electrical engineer. But we also know that when somebody has a BS or MS in electrical engineering, they really write it out as BS or MS in electrical engineering. And the ing is critical here.
Very true. Yeah. Great point.
So if I can combine this entire operator here, I'm going to capture the standard electrical engineers of BSEE, the non-joined, or rather separating, Masters of Science, Masters of Science with periods of electrical engineering. And then if I just write electrical engineering, well, I'm kind of hoping that I'm going to have to write Masters of Science in electrical engineering. I'm just hoping that somebody might have, we will see, hopefully, people who wrote out Bachelors of Science in electrical engineering, or they just wrote BS in electrical engineering, but by having electrical engineering and in quotes, hopefully we're going to be able to capture that. Now, here, I'm going to copy this, actually. Well, we got and defense or aerospace. So how about now, copy that. It's painful watching me navigate the computer as well, Eric, just so you know. So for the people watching this, I hope you're at least getting some good knowledge out of here. And sorry about that on the speed. However, I'm hoping that the results are accurate.
Well, you're doing great. It is hard to talk, type, and think at the same time, so I think you're doing fine.
Eric, at my age, you better believe it.
Yes, sir.
So, again, a quick review here. I think you phrased it really well when it's a thought. The parentheses, they're a thought. It's a thought. It's a group thought. We have a group thought. Single board computer or single board computers. We know every resume has to have a version of one or this one. Has to have program manager, and the other thought. It has to have defense. It has to have defense or aerospace, and the last thought over here has to have. They have to have a bachelor's or a master's in electrical or in electrical engineering, right? Mm-hmm. So I'm going to copy this, Aaron. I'm going to go back. Final results. Did I mess something up here, Aaron? Are we good? I'm sorry, did I write or? I'm so glad that you said that, Eric. See that? We must be getting towards the end of the lesson. Eric is very gracious. He's saying me, did you want an and or? Eric, you know what I wanted over there. Come on, old man messed all that up. Man, you should have just told me I messed that up. Gracious. Everybody loves working with Eric. Thank you so kindly for not pointing that out for me the way that I pointed myself out, but I deserve it. I think I got it right now. Thank you. As I'm talking, it's and. It really is what I'm looking for, but the ors are correct. I think I got that right. I'm going to hit copy one more time. I told you all it was painful watching me navigate this thing.
Maybe painful to navigate, but very exciting to get the options here. So the people and the results we get are always a payoff. So that's what it's all about.
We had 34 without the electrical engineers. Let's see what kind of people we got. I bet we got less. And we got 18.
Cut it in half, basically.
It really did.
How about Ariel just hanging in there with Ariel just hanging in for all of it.
Twice, as a matter of fact.
Every time.
Okay, but we're since we've already looked at Ariel a few times. Well, here is electrical engineering. It's interesting. Electrical engineering solutions. He may actually not have the bachelor's of science the way that it comes up, but we see that he has everything else. Single board computers. We don't need to hyphenate it. We know that within Monster, we've already run this, that it'll be picked up. So if you saw within Wikipedia that single board computers was hyphenated, over here it is, but we also know that Monster picks it up without the hyphen. In this case, we've got, now interesting, he didn't write out Masters of Science, just a Master of Electrical Engineering. Same with the bachelor's. But the electrical engineering in this case saved him and caught us.
And saved us as a recruiter.
As well. Possibly, if he's the right candidate.
But
exactly, Eric. Obviously, the purpose, again, of this exercise is not to identify a client, get the right candidate for our client, more to get us to the right area. Here's the BSEE captured by the periods in the middle of all of it. TSSCI is top secret, compartmentalized. Could be part of the ITAR thing that we had talked about earlier. Program manager, aerospace is where that comes up. I don't know if defense does or does not. But I completely agree here. And just at first glance, it looks like he may actually be the right person. You know, Eric, because Ariel has come up so many times, it almost seems like him and our client are destined to be together, even in California together.
I'm telling you what, this definitely seems like a person who would be a fit for the opportunity. I know that's not what we're looking at now, and this is not hypothetical, so to speak, but just a scenario where we're trying to find and show highlights on how we do our Booleans. But in this case, he would be
Ariel, you can't lose to Ariel. He is just all over. I think you just call him and say, look, Ariel, every time we ran a Boolean, you came up, no matter what.
Yeah, I just want to talk to you. So yeah, maybe I can help him.
Ron Fish, skip the fishing analogies, and we are in monster fishing, aerospace, and defense. Here, and I'm glad we kind of had this. We had an example of electrical engineering with ING. We had a BSE with dots in the middle of all of it. And here we've got a Bachelor's of Science in Electrical Engineer with a BSE without any dots. And that's why it's important to be able to capture it in every way. That's why it's important to get into the head of job seekers, Eric, isn't it?
It absolutely is, because the people looking for jobs don't always know what they're filling out or how they're filling it out. And that's part of our job as well. No person who comes on and is looking for a job is necessarily a resume expert. And we have to understand that there's going to be variations on everything they're putting in here. So a good headhunter is going to find a way to find those variations.
If you're looking for a job, our Outplacement service offers resume optimization services. Experts like Eric, resume expert, resume writers that speak your language, that understand industries like engineering, defense, aerospace, and the like. We capture those things. Just in case the other recruiters or HR people are not as skillful or adept at identifying different iterations of electrical engineering, we capture that for you on your resume. Things that we've identified, please visit us on our website for more information there. Call us at 813-961-6632. Eric, what is your extension? If they want to talk to you direct and prank call you, how do they get a hold of you?
Please call Eric Maddox, extension 32, 813-961-6632, extension 32. Love to help you. Love to show you what we got, especially our outplacement. That's one of my expert areas, and I'd love to kind of educate anyone who has a need for that or anyone who's looking for a job and I can help. Please come on board. Love to talk to you.
So as a final review, and you cannot possibly be in any better hands than Eric Maddox over here at Davron. When it comes to Outplacement, if you're looking for a job, we're also in an incredible partnership with a company called Career Shift, where you'll have expert headhunter tools right there. Well, for one, if you're looking to see who the hiring managers are at any company, this particular tool will give you the entire index, the entire corporate tree. So rather than applying through Monster, like the rest of the herd, if you will, Eric, here you'll be able to look up the company, you'll be able to look up the program managers or the hiring managers direct. You'll get their direct contact information, their email address, their resume as well. So you'll be able to see what the hiring manager did in his background. Maybe there are some commonalities, and you'll be able to separate yourself away from the rest of the herd here and reach out to them with a highly personalized message. Those are all things that Eric Maddox at Davron can offer to you. That and hours of prank calling him at, was it extension 32?
Extension 32
okay,
it is.
Good. 813-961-6632. Extension 32. You can also visit us on davron.net. Thank you again for joining us on our podcast for Boolean search sessions. This is David Coreen.
Eric Maddox, and I can also like to thank David Coreen. He's our owner, our president, very humble man, friend, and co-worker. So in this case, thank him for his time today. He took a good amount of time to do this with us today, and it's huge. So thank you again, sir. Appreciate it.
Oh, please, Eric. Thank you so much. It's huge energy for me. And if anybody listening to this podcast gets something out of it, that's huge energy for us. Please call us, and thank you for tuning in.